Breaking news, I want to run to Capitol Hill on this. Chad Pergram with us live. Chad, what do you have?
We have some breaking news here from Thom Tillis, the Republican senator from North Carolina. He has just announced that he is not going to seek re-election in 2026. I'll just read you part of his statement here. He says it underscores the greatest form of hypocrisy in American politics. When people see independent thinking on the other side, they cheer. But those same people see independent thinking as coming from their side. They scorn, they ostracize, and even censure them. Now, I should note that Thom Tillis yesterday, he put out a statement and was one of the two Republican no's against proceeding to the big, beautiful bill. And you had President Trump absolutely torch him twice last night. There was one very long statement on Truth Social where he said, he's grandstanding, argued that he wasn't really, helping the people of North Carolina. And then a little bit later, President Trump put out another statement saying he was going to be talking to people in the coming days about trying to engineer some sort of a primary challenge against Senator Tillis. And I'll just read you the tail end of the statement here. He says, "I still look forward to continuing to serve North Carolina over the next 18 months. I look forward to having pure freedom as I call the balls and strikes I see fit, representing the great people of North Carolina to the best of my ability." Now this also demonstrates a little bit of a trend where you've had some people who are willing on the Republican side of the aisle to buck the president, who have decided that they might not seek re-election. I should note that we reported Friday night that Don Bacon, who is a moderate Republican from Nebraska, he is one of only 3 Republicans in the House who represent a district carried by former Vice President Harris in the 2024 presidential election. He's going to make his formal announcement that he is not running for re-election, and he has taken a different position than the president. Bacon has on a host of issues, including the war in Ukraine and other military issues. He was a brigadier general in the military. And so, one would wonder if you start to see a cascade of maybe some of these folks who differ from the president and might, start to back out. Now, President Trump, he certainly tore into Thomas Massie a couple of weeks ago after he voted against the big, beautiful bill, the Republican from northern Kentucky, and indicated that he wanted to have a primary challenge there. But Thom Tillis was not for this bill. And last night, they kept that procedural vote open, Rich, for more than 3.5 hours, and they did not have the votes. Now, we kind of thought they were going to eventually get there, but they were going to have to, flip a couple of people. Rand Paul, the Republican from Kentucky, was a no. He seemed immovable. They moved Ron Johnson, the Republican from Wisconsin, but they did not move Thom Tillis. And I talked to Thom Tillis along with a group of other reporters earlier in the week, last week, and he indicated that he just did not think that some of the things in this bill would help with medical issues and health care in North Carolina. In fact, he thought it would hurt, and he wasn't pleased with some of the numbers they were seeing. And Chris Coons, the Democratic senator from Delaware, he was on our air this morning on Fox News Sunday, and he said, this Democrats have been making this case about some of the health care perspectives in this bill. They don't like it. But Coons said something very interesting. He said, don't listen to me. He said, listen to Thom Tillis. In other words, Thom Tillis, from Senator Coons's perspective, was kind of making the case for the Democrats, and this retirement announcement will only underscore that, Rich.
Chad, you look at a number of Republicans on Capitol Hill, and the idea that they vote in certain ways to ensure that they stay on Capitol Hill is clearly in the back of their minds. This really does change the math in the U.S. Senate now that you have one of the Republicans in a pretty narrow majority for them in the U.S. Senate now is essentially a free agent and doesn't have to worry about what this means for re-election, and he's serving for the next 18 months, right?
Right, exactly. And so sometimes you do have that. I will say that a lot of people, when they make their announcement that they're going to retire, or maybe they're even in a lame duck Congress, they really stick to their values. And Thom Tillis was somebody who didn't seem to waver in that sense. I mean, he certainly clashed with the president on some of these issues. Remember, he held out. He eventually voted to confirm Pete Hegseth as the Secretary of Defense in January, but he had a lot of questions about that. And at one point, it was looking like he might not vote to confirm Hegseth. So this is just kind of part and parcel, reflecting where Thom Tillis has been, and apparently on the same page as the Trump administration.
Senior congressional correspondent Chad Pergram with that breaking news. Chad, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Will Cain. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Cain podcast for full episodes right now.